All right, welcome in college hockey fans and hockey fans in general, all around the United States, Canada, China. Paul Hornstein, we've been to China, we've been back, we've been to Alaska, back. We're going to California. We're coming up to see you almost in Providence, Rhode Island before too long. But Sun Devil hockey is rocking and rolling. Paul Hornstein on Long Island, New York. Scott Strande here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Paul, how are you?
A lot colder than I like to be.
Me too.
Yeah, let's do. Anytime you want to trade, just let me know. But it has been, shall we say, a busy week since the last recording.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that's that is just to say the very, very least. So let's get started. Let's jump into it. Your Sun Devils. I'm calling them that now because you're the alum here.
I am.
Your Sun Devils got back on the ice after a 20-day break.
And it showed.
The University. Oh yeah, it did. University of Vermont was in town at beautiful, friendly confines of Oceanside Ice Arena.
Right.
And the Sun Devils came out with a 1-win Friday night and a tie Saturday night. When you'll see the 5-minute powers play coming up, you'll notice that I tiptoed into that one again because, like I did in the press conference Saturday night, I know Coach Powers' feelings on ties, but yet you've got to talk about them when that's the post game and that's the end result. So, they wanted 2 wins. They got 1 and a tie, and, it is what it is. Coach told me today that it's obviously better than a loss.
True.
It just doesn't help you in the pairwise or hurt you in the pairwise. It just leaves you there.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I know you're surprised at that, but I disagree with that.
I am. I'm shocked.
I know. Because the College Hockey News initially reported the game as a win.
Right. An overtime
when
win.
They put it on their scoreboard, okay?
And they were at 12.
No, they were at 10.
Oh, yeah. Originally.
They were at 10. Right. So
yep.
You can't tell me there's a big difference between 10 and 16 or 17 where they are now, because 1 puts you squarely in the 16 at the end of the season.
1 puts you on the bubble.
And 1 puts you out. I mean, you're not getting in at 16.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're not getting in at 16, you're not getting in at 17. So,
well, here's the good news on that.
Unless every chalk comes through.
Yeah.
So
it's not going to happen.
We can't say it didn't hurt, because that's just not true.
Okay. Well, a couple of things I want to throw out there before we get into the game's recap here, and then we'll get into Coach Powers. But okay, on my soapbox once again. For about month and a half, I've been saying respect. That's what polls give you, is respect, right?
Right.
Everybody beat me down for 4 straight weeks telling me about the polls don't matter. We don't care about the polls. The polls don't matter. We don't care about the polls. They're just polls.
They're right. I don't.
Okay. Hear me out.
Okay, but I'm just
I know.
Throwing in my 2.5 cents.
I know. So I'm preparing myself for this week's game between pairwise rankings, number 4 Denver,
right,
and number 16 ASU.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. But out comes the rest of the media telling us that it's not that. It's number 4 Denver against number 20 Arizona State.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. No, not okay. Don't go okay with me, because now you're using the poll. Before, you wouldn't use the poll. When they weren't in the top 20, you didn't care about the poll. But now that they're number 20, now you're using the poll and not the pairwise. So what is it? Is it pairwise or is it poll?
It depends on who you're asking. Are you asking what matters, or are you asking about frivolous crap? Because it's the pairwise that matters. The polls look nice, but it's like window dressing, and most people don't understand the difference, and that's fine. Part of what we do here is try to make people understand the difference.
I agree, but here's the point. I brought up 6 weeks ago when they weren't getting any credit and they weren't moving up the poll at all. They were getting 2 votes after sweeping Air Force. And I'm going like, you're not concerned about just getting 2 votes. No, we don't care about the polls. We don't care about the polls. All of a sudden, they jump up to number 20, and they care about the polls again. So, anyway, that's my soapbox. It's a housekeeping type thing, but it just irritates me just a tad because you either like one or you don't like one. You can't like them one time and not like them the next time. So for my book, I'm sticking with pairwise because Coach told me right to my face that pairwise is what matters. So
he's right. It does.
Okay. So for me, then get rid of this 20 BS, right? You're number 16 right now against number 4. There we go. Enough said.
The only problem is here you're preaching to the choir here because
no problem is
but the website that has the predominant top rankings, they're going to use their rankings when it comes time to putting things on the website. So
let me tell you about
this. That's fine. I mean,
let me tell you about this website. This website is going to use the pairwise rankings.
As it should.
It's number 4 against number 16.
Okay.
So anybody that looks at the media stuff and says it's 4 against 20, it is incorrect. It is 4 against 16 in the pairwise rankings, which determines whether you get into the NCAA national tournament or not. I was schooled on it a month ago, and I'm going to ride it out right now, and I'm going to hold to my guns on this one. It was pairwise rankings we're talking about. Number 4 Denver, 16 ASU. Let's move on.
Didn't we talk about all that last year?
Yeah, well, apparently we need to revisit it because I saw a lot of media attention that said 4 and 20.
Okay. All
right. So here we go. Let's talk a little bit about Vermont. We talked about their goaltender coming in. We knew that Stefanos Lekkas was going to be phenomenal. He was every bit as phenomenal as his lead-in tape brought him. The problem is the rest of that team's not much.
It was enough.
They're better than their record, certainly. But, I'll be honest with you. I sat right above the players' bench, and ASU was a 2 to 4 goal favorite in both games and didn't finish. That was on ASU. It was not on Vermont taking it to them because the speed was a gigantic difference. When you were right there, it wasn't close.
Let's put it this way. I was in a situation where, via the screen, obviously, it looks a little different. I thought there were sections of both games where ASU was a step slow. I expected the first period of the Friday game for that to be an issue. I thought they took it to them in the second and third periods of that game. In the Saturday game, they came out okay in the first period and the third period. And kind of in the second period was kind of, once again, got to stay out of the penalty box. They didn't do that.
No. And the thing of it is with the penalties, it's a ticky-tack crap again. It's not after the whistle. It's a slash here. It's a hook. It's a check from behind. I mean, Jacob Wilson went to the penalty box 3 or 4 times.
Watch their feet. Listen, this is what I have learned over the years. From my own watching and talking to certain people that have far more knowledge of the game than I do. Watch their feet. And ASU gets in trouble every time they stop moving their feet, as most hockey teams would. But they're not. They're a good team, but they're not good enough to get by on talent alone. You can't turn. You can't do that. You have to keep your feet moving constantly, and they're not doing it. And that's what gets them in trouble, and that's when they start heading towards the penalty box. When you watch the games, if all of it, everybody gets the random penalty.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, if you had this discussion with the coach, he'd tell you the same thing. When they stop moving their feet and they start reaching with their stick instead of moving and taking that extra step, that's when that series of penalties starts game after game after game. When they don't do that, they may not win every game, but they can play with anybody.
Yep. Well, they're going to find out, and that's a perfect lead into this week's opponent, the Denver University Pioneers. When they come to town, There's three things that I note with Denver. Number one, they've got spectacular goaltending as well. They've got two good goaltenders, and they're healthy. Number two on that three-step chart of mine is the fact that they will capitalize on your mistakes.
Every time.
If you go to the penalty box, yep, they are very, very good at that, and they always have been, and I don't think they will ever not be. And then, like you just mentioned, the third thing on that is you have to continue to skate with them from start to finish. Because if you don't start with them and finish with them, there's going to be a gap in the middle that's going to cost you a couple of goals.
Yeah.
So you got to beat the goaltenders, you got to stay out of the penalty box, and you got to match them speed for speed all the way through. Then you got a shot.
This is what I've noticed, especially over these last 2 or 3 years, where this, ASU has really gotten me to focus more on the college game than I ever did. I guess winning back-to-back national championships has finally caught up with your boys from Duluth, but
not over yet, though.
But the point I'm getting to is, in watching them and watching Denver and watching some of these teams they choke you. They don't make mistakes, and they frustrate the heck out of you, and they choke you, and they choke you, and they choke you, and they put the clamps on you. And some people would call it boring style hockey, but you know what? They're good enough where they win. They get the goaltending, and Denver's biggest problem has been Duluth. So,
right.
Those two
they got
teams
a new big
very
problem
similar
now. It's called Minnesota State.
Yeah, well, listen, my buddy Boblin Mavericks up there in Mankato, who spent most of July and August posting cards and stuff of past Mavericks, and I was getting a kick out of that. He's happy as all get out about that. So, but he'll tell you it doesn't mean anything. He goes, "We've been to the tournament year after year after year," and he says to me, "We have as many NCAA wins as you guys at ASU have." So, they'll tell you it doesn't mean anything.
Well, and the other thing I want to say in defense of my Bulldogs is get in the tournament and nobody wants to play you.
Well, isn't that what happened 2 years ago when they got in by .0001?
Exactly.
Pairwise?
Exactly.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That wasn't the polls. That was the pairwise.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Now let's roll on. Let's talk to Coach Powers and the 5-minute Powers play. He's got a lot to say this week. We went a little long. A couple of things I'll give you guys highlights for before you hear the coach is we talked about the two players that were dismissed from the team. Kind of shocked all of us.
Yeah, we haven't even had time to get into that.
And there's not much to get into except for the fact that there were two prominent players in Logan Genuine, who was starting to come into his own as an NCAA player, and then Carson Briere, who was a redshirt this year anyway. But that was a lot of firepower that you had on your roster for the future. Probably 3 or 4 years you were hoping.
You want me to comment now, or do you want me to wait till after the coach?
Well, you can wait till after the coach, but he'll mention that. We did talk a little bit about that. These are student athletes, so you're only going to get so much. You're not going to get as much as you probably like for your appetite.
He got exactly what I expected, and what anybody should have expected.
And the other thing, I'll just lead into at the very end, is a dear friend of ours, Tim Gasson, passed away very unexpectedly after a short illness of about 3 weeks. Caught us all by surprise. Yeah. Coach Powers and Tim Gasson go back a long ways. They went to the same high school together in Indianapolis, for crying out loud. So I wanted to give the coach a chance to talk a little bit about that. So, we're not talking NCAA hockey at that point. We are talking hockey in the Desert Southwest, which is also what we do. And we're talking human life.
Listen, that's exactly right. Nobody despises that team down there in that school any more than I do. But this is not about school. This is not about rivalries. This is more important than that. And I know you and Tim were very much friends, and I don't care what the relationship is. It's.
I'm going to tell you just flat out. When I got the news Saturday morning, I think I might have been in shock for Saturday and Sunday because it was Monday when the University of Arizona posted it officially on their Twitter feed, and I was a mess. I got to be honest, I was a complete mess yesterday. Tim and I had our battles back and forth. I joked that we had hot dog bets on everything. We'll get into this in a little bit too, but we had hot dog bets and stuff, and he won a bet. But one thing that Tim was to me was a reality check. If I came up with an idea and he didn't think it was going to work, he was the first one to tell me. Secondly was if I did something good, he challenged me to be better. If I said I was going to have 1,000 followers, he said, go get 2,000. If I said I want to have 100,000 hits on the website, he said, get 200,000. So for that, I give the man credit. We're going to do a special tribute show of Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest from the University of Arizona locker room. Got 7 guests lined up that we're going to visit and put that up Friday. Huge weekend for their ACHA program along with Arizona State because it's rivalry weekend again down there. 2 wins for either club would, I believe, secure the Cactus Cup for that team. So, so a sweep either way does that. The other thing is it's also alumni weekend for U of A. So, I mean, Tim had a way of being in the spotlight, if you will, and even in his passing. And I joke because he would want me to.
My thoughts and go out to his family, and there's no way to ever. Even if you have a lot of notice, there's no way to ever prepare for this.
No, not at all.
And my heart goes out to that family, and hopefully, they get a chance to heal up and know that Tim was very much loved and respected. And there's really not much else to say because there's really nothing you can say. To make the hurt go away because it's just not reality. So,
all right, that's a good time to give us a break to collect our thoughts. Let's bring on Coach Powers' 5-minute Powers play, and we'll be back to discuss what the coach has to say. Welcome in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It's another College Hockey Southwest Weekly 5-minute Powers play with Coach Powers in. Coach, I talked to you after second game last night or last weekend. It was a tie. I looked you in the eye and I'm going like, how do I ask this question? Because I know your feelings about ties. Yeah. You told me that a tie was at least better than a loss on the record part of it, but it wasn't fun, was it?
Well, no, it's obviously better than a loss. I mean, it doesn't kill you at all in the pairwise. It just doesn't help you. It doesn't hurt you. And we were in a position up to at home where we felt like we should have won the game, and so it's on us for letting it get to that point. It was frustrating, the nature of how it went down Saturday. You still believe after reviewing what was called a good goal on the ice that it was a good goal. We thought it was a good goal. The spirit of the rule on goalie interference is if the player gets fouled into the goaltender and makes somewhat of a reasonable effort to avoid the goaltender, which he did, and video replay confirmed that the call on the ice shouldn't have been overturned. It was, and it is what it is. Those officials saw what they saw, and we respect that. We don't have to agree with it, but we respect it. So we felt like a win was taken away, but onward we go. Onward we go, and still after 20 days off, that's a way better team than their record, a way better team than their record. They've played a vigorous schedule and played everybody close, and they're going to win some games. With that kid in net, he is a tremendous goalie. He's the best I've seen at this level. He made, over the weekend, 20 circus grade A saves that just, it is what it is. That's why it's the most important position in hockey, and he proved why.
All right, so you got Denver coming in this weekend. Kind of a mixed match because you get them here Friday night, which I know you enjoy, and then you get to go out to the big sheet, which I know you also enjoy. But tell me about Denver and what you expect out of that team.
Yeah, I mean, they're as good as we'll play all year. It doesn't get any better. Fast, skilled, balanced, deep. everybody in their lineup can really skate. They feast off of bad puck management and quick transitions, so we have to manage the puck. The biggest improvement we can make from Vermont to Denver is management of the puck and just doing what we can to keep it and not give it to them, especially in transition. So I thought overall we played pretty well for 20 days off. The biggest area of improvement from there to here is going to be puck management. And if we manage the puck really well against these guys, we're going to have a chance to win.
Well, I'm going to guess puck management starts with your goaltender making the first save, but it goes very quickly to your defensive core. And I thought your defensive core has been really solid all season long, but I thought Manny and Bernie were especially good this last weekend.
They were, they're always good. They're just, it is what it is. So we need all 6 of our D bought in to hard, simple plays against Denver. We don't need to get cute with it in any part of the ice. We just need to get it, move it, and live the fight another day, and get it in behind them and go to work and play our game. So, it's not rocket science. It's just making the hard, simple plays and winning those battles at the Blues and not giving them transition. And if we do that, we like our chances.
I've been beating this down for a good couple of weeks now that you're going to have a big ice sheet. You're going to have 17,000 seats to fill. It's a good chance for Sun Devil fans to take a Saturday afternoon and come out. You're also going to be on the Pac-12 network, which is more exposure. How is that exposure helping you right now in year 5 of this program?
Well, obviously, the more households we can get college hockey into in the Pac-12 network's footprint, the better it is. Whether or not we get 5,000, 2,000, 17,000, I have no idea. Hopefully we get a really good crowd out there. The Coyotes are out of town. ASU football's done. It's a 4:30 p.m. game, so younger kids can come and enjoy it. It's boys and girls club night, so we're doing what we can to get bodies out there. It's an hour away. So that's the downfall of it. But it's going to be fun. We'll embrace it. Up until last year, we hadn't had a lot of success out there, but we beat Mankato in a shootout out there last year. We beat Boston College out there last year, so our guys are confident going back out there this year, and it'll be fun. But again, we're focused on getting Friday night and taking care of business here in our home barn at Oceanside. Okay,
so the toughest part about being a coach is what you had to deal with again this week when you have to let some players go for discipline reasons. And I commended you on social media because I know how you won your program. I know how much it means to you. And I also know how difficult it is because you don't recruit these kids to let them go. Tell me a little bit about the 2 guys that you had to let go and what really led up to it.
Well, I can't comment in detail on really much of it. But it's never fun. It's never what you want to have to focus on. It's never what you want to do. It's not. It's not why I'm in this business. It's not why any of us are. We were about student athlete development and making boys into men. And when they leave us, preparing them for the real world. But you have to do things the right way when you're here. And the only thing I'll say about those 2 is that we genuinely wish both of them all the best moving forward and hope that whatever step they take next, they make the most of their opportunity and are successful.
I know you can't go into detail, but was this something that happened just moments before we all found out about it, or was this something that had happened earlier?
No, it happened earlier, but we don't announce when things happen and kids make mistakes. It is what it is, and but obviously as soon as a lineup comes out and then you check a roster, the media is going to find out about it. So it had happened a little bit before that, and we just obviously didn't talk about it.
Okay, so we move forward. Obviously, you're going to lose a couple of guys that you anticipated being big time parts of the program. Does that change your recruiting philosophy now, or are you comfortable with what you have coming down the pipeline?
We're really comfortable with what we have. I mean, we signed 2 incredibly talented forwards in Benji Eckerly and Matthew Coprud, and we can talk about them because they're signed. Yep. They're both almost a point per game in the USHL, and that always translates to college hockey. If you can score in that league, you can score in college, and they're both tremendous players. So we're really excited about them. They're older kids. They're going to come in ready-made, ready to play, and step in right away. And the kid that we have that looks, there's days where he's literally our best player in practice is Chris Grando from Boston College, and he's chomping at the bit. He's almost halfway through his redshirt season. He's doing all the right things off the ice. He's training hard with Leanne, and his speed and his grit and how hard he plays is going to be a really welcomed addition. And now there's a lot of really good players out there that are looking for homes that we're actively recruiting. We had two, we can't say who, but we had two very high-end guys in on campus over the weekend, and we felt like it went really well. So it's just back to work, business as usual, and we're in a really good spot. We like where we're at.
All right, I want to end this 5-minute Powers play on two notes. The first one on a very high note. Your Pitchfork profile for me this week was James Sanchez, and what a great kid, first of all. But I asked him if there was a direct flight now from Dubuque to Arizona State. He thinks there might be, because he said, who wouldn't want to come here and play? Yeah. But tell me a little bit about James and just the kind of player that he's become and was.
Well, the Dubuque thing, obviously we have Mike who coached there, and that helps, but it's been a lot of coincidence, and Manny was I recruited Manny before he ever went to Dubuque, and then he ended up just going to Dubuque, and then we went to the Pittsburgh USHL showcase last year and saw Sanch and Willie play, and knew we needed some upperclassmen to come in and give us some oomph and some experience with losing Crow and Holsey, and I saw Sanch play, and I went down and talked to him after, and he's here. So it's just kind of happened that way, that coincidentally, but he's a special kid. He really is. He just needed a second chance, and he needed somebody to believe in him, and now that he knows we all believe in him so much, he genuinely believes in himself, and he's doing what he's doing.
He told me on camera, and I know you didn't hear this yet, but he said he didn't know a lot about Arizona State his first couple of years when he was at Michigan, and I said, but you did, because you scored your first collegiate goal and another couple of goals a year later. And he goes, yeah, we don't want to talk about that much anymore. All right, let's end this thing on a little bit of a somber note. A good friend of both yours and mine passed away unexpectedly this week in Tim Gasson. And I know you and Tim being rivals from U of A and ASU, but is there anybody that you can think of in the Desert Southwest other than yourself that's possibly done as much for hockey down here than Tim Gasson?
No. Tim, I've known Tim a long time, since 95 when I came out and came to ASU. He was heavily involved with U of A back then, and Tim's from my hometown in Indianapolis. He went to my high school, and we hit it off when I was just a player, back when I was an 18-year-old kid, and stayed in touch. He got out of hockey. He started at WHA Hall of Fame. A gentleman that coached me my entire life was heavily involved in helping Tim start that, Hugh Harris and Whitey Stapleton. And so everything that Tim did to help grow the game was selfless in every way. He didn't do it for personal gain or profit or anything. He did it because he loved hockey. And then when he got back involved with U of A, a handful of years ago, he really helped put that program back on the map, and he took a lot of pride in what it used to be, and then it took a big dip and dropped off. And then when he got back involved, he really helped their image, and from a PR standpoint and a professionalism standpoint off the ice, and what he brought to the table for any organization at any level of hockey would have been valuable. For what he did for them as an ACHA program, it's going to be really tough to replace. And he would come up and wrote nice things about our program. He was just an advocate for college hockey and hockey in general, especially here in Arizona. So he's going to be missed. It was shocking to hear that it happened. I knew that he wasn't doing well, and I had heard that he was starting to possibly get better, and then it just out of the blue happened. So we're really thinking about U of A hockey and everybody down there and Tim's family, and we'll continue to.
I think I can end it. I gave a lot of thought over the weekend when I was kind of contemplating all things he meant to me too, because he was there for me when I started what I'm doing. But when I thought of Tim, I thought reality, right? He always gave you the reality check, good or bad. Tim would give you reality.
Yeah, it puts everything in perspective. I spent the weekend upset over a tie, and it's a game. It's a game, and it's a game we all love. But when you lose such a good human being like Tim, it puts everything in perspective, and it makes you appreciate what you have. And we have a lot to be appreciative of here at Arizona State. And in general, people here in this region have a lot to be appreciative of when it comes to this game. So let's just enjoy it, and that's that. I think Tim will put a smile on his face, knowing that he's given us all some pretty good perspective.
Well, I can't finish it any better than that. Coach, good luck this weekend against Denver. It's going to be an exciting weekend as always, and 12 more weeks in a row of this stuff. So just keep knocking off the wins, right?
Behind the Mask Hockey Shop, celebrating 25 years of exceptional service to the Arizona hockey community, offering the top brands and an educated staff of hockey players to help you choose the right gear for you. Visit any one of our 3 Valley locations or check us out online at behindthemask.com.
We're back. Paul Hornstein on Long Island, Scott Strande here in Scottsdale. You've had a chance to listen to Coach Powers. A nice visit today. As always, I want to start off this Paul by just saying that, man, Coach is incredible because he had a really rough weekend as well. Dealing with what we had to deal with, and he knew the questions were coming, and I always will never blindside him. I will ask him up front before we go on camera, and he is always 100% forthcoming and honest with me. He will tell me what he can, and he'll tell me what he can't, and that's all you can ask for is honesty. If you have that kind of relationship with anybody, much less a coach, you're fortunate. So your thoughts and reactions to Coach Powers' thoughts and reactions. Let's start with the overtime goal.
Well,
or non-goal, as it says it is.
If the coach repeating of it is accurate, then it makes no sense at all. It makes no sense that you can call one and not call the other. If the rule is if you get knocked into the goalie by one of the goalie's own teammates, however little or however that it's a goal and it's not goalie interference, then it should have been a goal. If you're telling us that that's why you call the penalty, you call the penalty, so clearly the penalty caused the interference. So if you were calling the penalty,
continuation of the play.
How can you disallow the goal?
Well, let me tell you 2 things that I noticed from this officiating crew, and one official in particular. The first goal scored by James Sanchez Friday night was a blast. It was just below the crossbar. It was in and out quicker than a blink of the eye. I asked James that today, and by the way, James is our Pitchfork Profile. You'll want to stay tuned to hear that. But I asked James, I said, I bet you knew that was in and out. And the other guy that knew on the ice, a lot of guys didn't know if that was a goal or not, including us in the press box right away. But the referee was emphatic. He was over there swinging his arm, pointing to the net, saying it was a goal all the way, and there was no disputing it. That same official was the one that was emphatically pointing to the goal and saying it was a good goal in overtime. So he made a very bold statement that he saw the puck in the net before it was dislodged. I don't know. I've heard several things. Some people that I talked to and here said they saw the still shots from above, and that the puck was on the line when the goal came off. I don't know. Coach Powers saw a different thing. I didn't have privy to see that. I will give a shout out to our own Zach Ponderant, though, because Zach was glued in, and you can see one of the photos that I had posted from Zach. It was right as Willie Neerum was getting past the goaltender, and the puck was on his stick, and the goaltender wasn't going to stop it. And you commented to me early Sunday morning about a stick from the defender coming through his legs and reaching into the goaltender as well. So, before that, I just want to give a shout out to Willie Nierum, because I don't think he expected those two defensemen to let him through like they did in overtime. He just parted the Red Sea right there and walked right in on goal and let it rip. So,
it's just
Coach Powers said it best, though. It is what it is, and they should never have let it get to that point.
That's
but
correct.
They did.
They did.
They are coming into this weekend at 7-4-1. Denver, as we spoke earlier, coming in at 9-3-2. So they're very close, but the difference is Denver's in the NCHC, right? And Denver's also number 4 in the pairwise rankings for a reason.
Well, listen,
and it's one game at Oceanside, Saturday afternoon at Gila River. So the guys, and I asked Coach that, you probably just heard him say that. I said, what are your thoughts about an afternoon game? There's 17,000 empty seats out at Gila River Arena. Isn't this a great time on a Saturday afternoon to fill that arena and show your support for the Sun Devils? He said, we're doing everything we could. He said, we got Boys and Girls Club.
Well, hopefully a lot of those kids go out.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, but he brought up the long-standing thing of the Coyotes is it's an hour, and that's the thing down here in Arizona is everything. It's an hour. How long did it take you to get to work in the morning, Paul?
This morning or normally?
Either.
This morning was about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Normally it's a little over an hour, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's normally
to
in
work
the morning,
every day.
a little over an hour.
So if you want to go out and see your hockey team, which you get to see about 15 games a year, this would be a great time to go out and see them. And I keep shouting it out. Get out to Gila River, go watch a good hockey team play another good hockey team in a beautiful city. There's no reason to complain about the seats or the view or the cold. You're going to Gila River Arena. Get out there, fans. Watch the game. All right.
I would agree with that.
Wrap it up with the coach, and then we'll jump into to talk a little bit about Mr. Sanchez.
All right. Well, listen. The coach gave you some answers that you expected him to give. The question had to be asked about the players that are no longer on the roster. And this, I will say, is whatever it was that caused them to be dismissed from the team, it wasn't a secret to them.
No.
Okay?
No.
These guys know the rules, and they know what the price to pay if the rules are broken. Okay? A few years ago when the team first started, they had other players that were in the same boat, and I think with all the newness, coach was a little more lenient than he wanted to be, and he learned from that experience, and that is no longer the case. Whatever happened, and in the long run, the team will be better for it because players will come there knowing, hey, we have to decide: do we want to play or do we want to play? What
a great segue into James Sanchez, because he came here. I'll give you a little background if you don't know about Mr. Sanchez. He played 2 years. Well, first he played with the National Team Development Program, USNDTP, and then he went to Michigan. Played 2 years at Michigan. After his sophomore year, decided that he wanted to go back and gain his confidence. So he had eligibility left. He went back to Dubuque, went to play junior hockey last year there, was very successful, got himself another opportunity. Coach Powers sold the program to him, and James Sanchez in here. And as you'll hear from him, he's a very happy man to be here in Arizona State. I asked him, and I thought this was kind of funny. I said, what did you know about Arizona State before you came here? And he said, I didn't know a whole lot. I said, oh, you're lying to me, because you scored your first goal against Arizona State, and you scored 2 more the next year. He kind of smiled with a wry smile at me. He said, we don't talk about that much anymore.
Yeah, well, hey, guys get traded in the big leagues all the time.
What a great kid. I'm telling you, I had an admiration for his skill level before we had a chance to visit today. Now I've got the skill level admiration as well as the personal admiration. He was just unbelievable. He was one of my best guests ever. I put him in there with Josh Maniscalco as one of the two guys that I'd like to sit down and visit with for like an hour every week because they're both just great guys. And man, shout out to his parents because they raised a great kid. And I think Sun Devil fans have just, tipped the iceberg as to what they're going to see from him in the next 2 years. Your thoughts on Coach Powers? Anything else you want to get in before we jump into that interview with James?
The one other thing is, they do have some guys coming in, as he mentioned, to fill in next year. I did not remember the one name he mentioned, Benjamin Eckerly. He's averaging about a little under about 3/4 of a point a game. He's got 9 goals, 7 assists. Yeah, he's got 9 goals in 20 games, 7 assists. I think it's 22 games. He's playing over there with Joey Strande, who is another, at least a verbal commit at this point.
He'll be an official one, I believe, in the spring.
Well, listen.
Yeah, I know.
I can talk about it. The coach can't. So, and I just didn't know what junior team he was playing on in the USHL, and I was looking it up as we were talking. So that'll be interesting. And
Coach, by the way, came out and said, I asked him, I said, how does this hurt your program for the future? And he said, no. He said, we wish them the best of luck in their future endeavors, but there's other players that we can go out and get, and we're actively going out to find them.
Oh, yeah, I'm waiting to hear about those 2 high-end players that he
that were here.
About.
Yeah,
So.
Exactly.
Oh, and by the way, as long as we're talking about it, because I'll just say it now because I would have said it afterwards anyway. That's another interview where the guy said, who doesn't want to come here and play and come to the rink in sandals and so forth and so on. But it's not too high on people's lists. So
did you hear when I asked him, though, I said, come on now, you come to the rink in sandals, but you like getting out of Oceanside because it's fairly cold. He goes, oh, it's really cold in here. Yeah. But he said it had to be. So that was good. So let's jump into James Sanchez. Let's let himself tell you everything instead of us recapping him.
Yeah.
We'll have a chance to do that afterwards. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the Pitchfork Profile, James Sanchez.
Well, folks, it's another ASU Pitchfork Profile. If you were at the games this weekend or you've been around Sun Devil hockey at all this year, you know this guy. The newcomer, James Sanchez, is with me. James, first of all, let's talk a little bit about this past weekend. What's current is always good, but you had a big weekend. What happened differently this weekend for you?
I don't know. Honestly, there wasn't really anything changed. I did the same routine as always. I just think the right places at the right time. I think our power play was working really well. We were clicking. So, like I've always said before, those guys on that power play, it's always a lot easier when they're out there with me. So, and then I don't know. I think our power play has just been clicking. So I think we just got to keep that ball rolling.
Okay, so people that don't know you, Illinois native, had a little experience at Michigan for a couple of years.
Yep.
Then you made a kind of unique move, went back to Dubuque and played junior hockey for a year, and then you became a Sun Devil. Tell me about that route and what led to ending up right here where you are now.
I think just after sophomore year, just kind of maybe wanted to reevaluate my options and just check just get a fresh start. Like I was telling those guys over there, it's not everyone's ideal path, wanting to go from college, leave, and then go back to college. But like I said before, everyone has their own way of doing things, and that's just where the cards fell for me. And I was very fortunate to go to Dubuque, and they were welcoming, and they really just kind of turned the life around. And they like going there was just kind of a confidence thing, and just kind of getting my stride back and getting everything back. Like just going back to the player that I know I was, kind of going into Michigan and stuff like that. So It definitely developed my game more offensively and just got into that. So that's where I started playing center last year. So I kind of got into that center role. And then earlier in the Dubuque season, the Powers talked to me a little bit, and then I didn't know much about the program. I played against them a little bit, like at USA and then at Michigan, so I knew some about them. And then just throughout the year, just seeing them like beat teams and make it to the tournament, and like he was very serious when he said like we're going to be a winning team over here. So, and then obviously going on the visit and coming here it's a vacation, so like getting out of the cold of Michigan. So yeah, it's pretty wild, but it was a no-brainer, honestly, and I couldn't be more fortunate to be here.
Okay, so you knew something about Arizona State because you scored your first collegiate goal against them. Then you scored another couple of goals with them a year later. Yep. What did you see, or what clicked for you then, or was it just the team that happened to be there when you were putting the puck in the net?
Yeah, I think now it's funnier and it's more of a coincidence. At the time, it was just like, all right, whatever, like pumped that I scored. But yeah, it definitely is funnier now. But like I said before, we don't really bring it up, so I think we kind of let that one go. But yeah, no, it's funny that it just happened to be these guys.
Okay, so last year this team earned a spot, like one of the first teams in 30 years as an independent to get to the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. They left it with a sour taste in their mouth. I know you guys have talked about it all summer since the trip to China and all that good stuff, but is this team ready to not only get back there, but to do some damage?
Yeah, for sure. And then that's why I keep saying that. I think this weekend it'll show that we can play anybody, we can beat anybody. So this is a huge weekend for us, just to show that ASU is going to be like just kind of like get ready for them. Like we're coming, and it's going to be a very good weekend for us. And if we could beat these guys, we could beat anybody. And I truly think that we can beat anybody. And when the tournament starts to come around, we have a very good group of guys like throughout the whole team. Like every line, everyone knows their role, and everyone is here for a reason. That's to win a national championship, and everyone's really, you can see guys just buying in more and more as we start to really start to win games and throughout the season. So we have a good group of leaders in the locker room too. So we're very tight, and I think it can just be a group that can go all the way for sure.
Okay, a couple things that I always notice, and Coach Bowers brings up to me. He always tells me that you guys haven't hit your full stride yet. He said, in his estimation, a couple of weeks ago, you were still 50% from what you could be. You feel that way on the ice, too, that you guys still have a lot of room to improve?
Yeah, I mean, there's always room to improve, and I think that's just kind of the winning mindset, too. So, obviously, I mean, if you're at your peak, obviously, then you can't get much better. So it's definitely nice to just kind of keep telling yourself that like you can always get better, and that's not just on the ice, it's off the ice, whether it's classroom, wherever. It's just kind of like that winning mentality. So no, I agree with him totally, and I think that goes for everybody in our locker room, that you can always get better tomorrow, you can always get better, like a little better every day kind of thing. So right. And I think that's gonna, every game you can get better. I think that's really gonna take us to the end of the year for that tournament and that big game at the end.
I don't know how much you followed him last year. You probably followed him quite a bit knowing you were coming here, but Johnny Walker was the key offensive cog. I had him in last week. I asked him what it meant to him to have both you and Demetrius on his line. He said it's a lot more fun this year because he knows you guys can finish when he gives you a pass. Mm-hmm. Tell me about playing with Johnny Walker and Demetrius Coleman-Zeich for the most part.
Yeah, I think everyone brings a little something to the table that's a little different. But yeah, like he said, it's, you know, that you can give them a pass and they can always finish, and you know you can receive a pass, and we just kind of click really well together, I think. And it started in China, right? I believe, yeah. So yeah, ever since then and then we hang out, or we're good friends off the ice too. So I think all the chemistry kind of adds up. But yeah, playing on the ice with them, it's very fun, and yeah, I'm very fortunate to just have a successful start to the season with those two.
All right, you've had a chance to play here in what we call the friendly confines of Oceanside Ice Arena. Have you gotten comfortable here now? Your teammates love this place. Yeah. Are you feeling that as well?
Yeah, no, I've always liked small barns, like just where it kind of feels like everyone's on top of you. So it's definitely, it's really different. But I think it's hard for other teams to come in here and play too. So they're definitely not used to it, but they're definitely not expecting, like, one, the heat, two, like just this kind of rink. So it's definitely fun playing here, and having the student section, just everyone's loud, and it's a really fun place. Like obviously other teams won't think that, but the more you're here, it's just a homey feeling.
All right, so I'm sitting in the press box this weekend, and my spot's, I call it the rafter seat because I have a rafter right above my head, right above your bench, right? Yeah. I watch your first shot, and it's in and out of the net before anybody can react, except for the referee. He was over there. He knew it right away. Yeah. I'm sure you knew it right away, right? Mm-hmm. Second one, though, you get to move into the high slot. Were you a little surprised that nobody bothered you there and they just let you walk in and rip that thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously tough when you only have 3 guys out there trying to kill, but I think us, me, Bernie, and Manny just kind of going Rover at the top and just kind of moving them around. I think it opened up, and then Walks was directly in front of that goalie's eyes, so I just had to place it and it went in. But yeah, it was I don't know why nobody really came at me, so it started to close a little bit. But yeah, like I said, Walks was directly in front of him, so it was pretty easy. Just kind of place it on the right side.
Tell me about your shot. Let's wrap things up by talking about growing up playing hockey. How did you develop that shot, and what do you credit that to?
I don't know. Just, I don't know, being a kid, growing up, playing with my brother all the time and just shooting pucks and stuff. And then I think last year, Dubuque definitely put me in a spot to kind of get used to that half wall place and just kind of shooting 1-tees and always going out early last year with like Willie Nearham and JD Greenway. So kind of just, obviously we were all there for a reason to get better. So we're always working on stuff before and after practice. And I think a one-timer was part of that. We just try to shoot more pucks and shoot a ton. But yeah, I mean, that was a good shot, but obviously you have guys like Bernie and Manny who can really tee it up. They have some pro shots, so it's definitely easier to pass it to them than for me to shoot it. But yeah, it all worked out, and so like I said before, I think our power play is going well, and we can just keep shooting it and keep moving into the weekend.
All right, final question for you is a two-parter. Right. Number one, is there a direct flight now from Dubuque to ASU? Because everybody seems to want to get on it if there is. Yeah. Part two of that is, what's your favorite thing about Arizona State, or maybe something that shocked you here since you've been here?
All right, part one, I would believe there's a direct flight. There should be now. Just it's a feeder system, it seems like. But going off that, I think everybody's going to want to start coming here once they start seeing that this place is a paradise and just a vacation every day. And then two, going off of that, I think like no cold, honestly. I think that has to be the number one. Like no, there's no like winter blues, like the cold depression. So I think going into class in sandals, and right. I think that's definitely you're in a happier, more comfortable vacation vibe, and it's very fun coming to the rink because nobody else goes to the rink in sandals.
Okay, got to follow that up with, it's always nice outside, but when you come to Oceanside, this isn't exactly the warmest rink, isn't it?
Yeah, it's freezing here. My sister was in town this past weekend. She was like, what do I wear to the rink? And I was like, it's very cold. Like, you're going to have to bundle up. And she like wore like 2 sweatshirts, but she was still cold. So, yeah, other than that, it's good. But, I mean, it has to be cold. If it's not, you can't even see anything. It's foggy. But, no, I'll take a cold rink versus being cold outside for sure.
All right, James Sanchez, congratulations again on a great weekend. It's another big weekend coming up for you guys. You got 12 weeks straight in a row now with games, yep. And you got Denver coming in number 4 in the country. You get them once here at Oceanside, once at the Big Sheet at Gila River. Thanks again for stepping in with us. Enjoy the rest of your time here as a Sun Devil.
Thank you very
much. Hey, Michael here from M-Drive. My dad, a world-class scientist, actually made M-Drive for himself to stay active and continue enjoying life. And yes, M-Drive supports healthy testosterone, but it's so much more. M-Drive is the everyday supplement to fuel your drive with more energy and more strength. Listen, we'd love for you to try M-Drive too. Visit mdriveformen.com and we'll give you 20% off your first purchase. Just type in the code DRIVE at checkout. Refine your prime with M-Drive.
Well, welcome back in, Paul Hornstein, hockey fans around the United States, Canada, China, anywhere you are listening to us on the podcast, on Podbean, or anywhere you get your podcast, College Hockey Southwest Weekly. Paul, we had a chance to visit with James Sanchez, the guy that scored 2 goals, both goals Friday night.
Both goals on Friday night.
He accounted for the win between him and Evan DeBrouwer. We can say that, I think, safely. Your thoughts on James Sanchez and our visit?
Well, listen, they need him now more than they did a week ago because their scoring has gotten a little thinner with the dismissals. So they're definitely going to need that line to step up. And for ASU to win, once again, they've got to get consistency from that top line and figure out where else to get it from. So they did it last year. We'll just have to see if they can do it again this year.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Coach Powers said about Sanchez and Willie Needham was they went out last year looking into the USHL showcase in Pittsburgh, and they were looking for some upperclassmen to bring in, 2 of them, because he knew that Anthony Croston and Dylan Holman were leaving to graduation. I thought that was kind of funny that he thought he had a need for 2 upperclassmen to come in. By golly, he had a need and he filled it.
Yeah, well, there's no question that they missed those 2 guys. Needham and Sanchez play a little bit different game than Croston and Holman, but you can't have all the leadership, even guys wearing the letters. You can't have it all on them. You need other guys that have been there and done that. So
absolutely. All right. Anything else that shocked you from Mr. Sanchez's comments?
No.
I asked him where he got that shot, and that kind of stunned him. I don't think he was expecting me to ask that because he kind of stumbled around and goes, I don't know. I guess it's from shooting a lot of shots with my brother.
That's what happens, right?
He is a sniper, and you're going to see a lot more picture-perfect goals from that kid before the season is over with.
So
no doubt about it. I also asked him about the power play, and he was very very high praise for his line mates on the power play. And the 2 that kept coming up, we know about Walker, we know about Demetrius Kumanzis, but the 2 that came up were his point men. I don't know how many times in that interview he mentioned Manny and Brinney, Josh Maniscalco and Brinson Passionate, who I thought also had a really stellar weekend. They just keep playing. And I asked Coach about that, and he goes, you know what? They just do that every weekend. So there's never really a time when you can say they had a great weekend because it's every weekend.
Yeah, well, I wish their power play on Saturday had been as good as it was on Friday, because they might not have needed overtime. So, it's the way it is, right?
I hear you.
So,
all right. So we had a chance to visit with the coach. We had a chance to visit with James Sanchez. We're ready to go with Denver. I'm looking forward to this a lot because I've been waiting for Denver to come here and play because I just love the style of play that they have. I really enjoy watching their coach, which, by the way, David Carl is probably the youngest, if not one of the youngest in all of NCAA hockey. And his story alone, and I'm hoping to get a few minutes with him to do a little feature, because if you don't know the story of David Carl, you need to listen to it because he is a phenomenal person and a phenomenal athlete, and his playing career was cut way short, even into college.
Well, I look forward to it. I'm sure you'll get a chance to speak to him, and hopefully we'll be able to get something from him for the website and let people know what's going on. And, hopefully ASU gets at least one of these games. I think it's going to be really tough for them to get 2 games from Denver. I think that's asking a lot. This is a good team. They, as we said, they kind of choke you. They kind of play that early 2000s New Jersey Devils sort of suffocate you and suffocate you and suffocate you style that they played before the 2004 lockout in the NHL. So, and ASU should want to skate. So it'll be very interesting to see how that manifests itself this weekend.
You didn't mean to, but you led me right into it. You said New Jersey. So I want to talk about the storm that hit Tempe. I can see, if you're listening, folks, Paul Hornstein is rolling his eyes on this one, but another New Jersey came out from Adidas and the Arizona State Sun Devils. It came out in gray. It was announced as a storm warning. That now makes 5.
Yeah, that surprised us.
5 jerseys. 5 jerseys. So they will wear those and debut them Friday night. I'm guessing that Saturday night will be Saturdays for gold is what I've heard all season. So I'm guessing they'll put the gold on at Gila River Arena. But here's my predictions on the weekend. I know you love my predictions, so let me throw that out there.
I do.
First and foremost, we're at Magic number 17. I had to get that in there quickly. Okay. After the Magic number 17, I am going to predict that the Sun Devils win on Friday night at Oceanside, and they probably will lose at the big rink at Gila River on Saturday night. I would like to see a sweep, but I'm predicting a split. And I think what the players and the coaches and everybody in college hockey really wants out of this weekend is to see just how good ASU is.
Well,
are they good enough to hang? Because
one shift at a time.
If you can hang with Minnesota State in the second week of the season, and you can hang with Denver now in the 11th week of the season, you might be for real, and then people might start looking at you.
It is definitely a litmus test.
By the way, did you get your jersey yet? The gray one?
They're not available to the public until next month, I believe. I saw that.
No, you're way off, buddy.
Was it June?
July of 20 or summer of 2020 before you can buy them.
Well, I might get a gold one first.
We're still waiting for gold and black, which should be out anytime. Our friends over at Oceanside are doing their best to get that order in, but we'll get you on the summer, Paul.
Okay.
In the meantime, let's also highlight our trip coming up here in less than a month now. Harvard and ASU are going to play in SoCal, the SoCal Clash, as they're calling it.
Get your
Irvine,
tickets.
California, Great Park Ice. Get there to their website and purchase some tickets. Come on out and support it. I think it holds somewhere under 5,000, maybe 3,000 or 4,000. I don't know exactly, but I know it's not a NHL rink that you're going to. It is a practice facility for the Ducks, but
that's all right. Doesn't the Golden Knights practice facility have about 2,500 seats for? Is it not that many?
1,000.
Okay, I thought it was more than that, but either way, I'll have to ask my buddy Rob, who lives out there, and he's probably been there. I haven't, so.
Oh, I sent our photographer, and he was home for Thanksgiving over there, Zach Bondurant. He doesn't live; his parents don't live too far from there, so I sent him to go over and see if he could get some pictures. But I don't know if he had time. It was Thanksgiving; he had to race back here, so. But anyway, shout out to Zach. He does an underpaid but overwhelming job for us.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough good things about that. But Zach will be with us. You'll be with us. I'll be out there. We'll be pumping it up from SoCal, bringing you 3 shows. We're going to do a practice show on the Friday before the games. We'll do a Saturday and a Sunday show as well. So fingers crossed, Paul, that we're working on trying to do something live on Periscope and Twitter. So our show will be viewed live, and you'll be able to hear us and see our beautiful faces live and in person.
Only don't push that, because that might turn people off. So.
So anyway, that's that for this weekend. Come on out and see the Denver Pioneers come to town again. Oceanside Friday night, 4:30 in the afternoon on the Pac-12 network. Maybe even Paul Hornstein will get an error-free show on Saturday. He might be able to watch the whole thing error-free. Okay, breathe.
Okay. Hasn't happened yet, so.
All right, so let's thank our sponsors. I do have a shout out, our dear friends over at College Bar. Unexpected news. I mean, you talk about unexpected news that they were actually shutting down today. I've heard word that it's temporary. I've heard word that it's permanent. I don't know for sure yet. I haven't got details on it, but we would have been out there for a show tomorrow had our friend Tim Gasson not passed away. But yeah, stand outside.
Still go. I mean, so you're not barred from public property.
So we still go with our friends from College Bar, our friends over at Oxy Pal, always stepping up for us. Fantastic Fridays. By the way, everybody's been asking me about Fantastic Friday. I didn't put one out this week because I knew about Tim and I wanted to save it for him. There really wasn't much games going on that I could pick from anyway, but I wanted to save this one for Tim. So that card will be out on Thursday when we do a show. I just thought that was a fitting tribute to a guy that really committed a lot to the Desert Southwest. So thank you to OxyPow for hanging with us on that one as we delayed it. Our friends at M-Drive, bigger and better all the time. Looking forward to getting on as a ambassador with M-Drive so we can start giving you guys some discounts on product that's coming up down the road. I'm going to shout out to one of our newbies coming on here soon. They're not with us yet because they're doing a little rebranding, but Roger Klein and the Peacemakers, Roger Klein Mexican Moonshine, is coming on board in 2020. After they get rebranded, it's going to be a good time. Paul Hornstein has been beating me up for some samples. So Alisa and Roger, if you're listening to the show, first of all, welcome aboard. We can't wait to have you on when you get that new branding. And also, Paul's looking to see if there's any Mexican moonshine left over. So anyway, as I continue on, our wardrobe always provided by Behind the Mask. They do a great job of getting us some stuff. I've got some stuff for Paul Hornstein when he gets out to California because he might need to warm up a little bit. So when he gets out here, we'll get him all dressed up as well. I also want to talk about our friends at the Ice Den Scottsdale and Chandler, where we're going to be up there next week on Wednesday for Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest. And certainly not least, but our friends over at Oceanside. I can't tell you how great that is to be able to go in and have a locker room. You saw the new banners on the show behind Coach Powers and behind our Pitchfork Profile. That's not possible if our friends at Oceanside don't give us the jerseys and the locker room space, so we're able to get in there and do some quality interviews, and we hope you all enjoy them. So, Paul, anything left to say before we hit the road for the Denver Pioneers series right here in sunny Arizona?
No, just looking forward to it like every weekend. And like I said, one shift at a time, one period at a time. And, stay out of the box and keep skating, and good things happen.
All right. College Hockey Southwest Weekly is a wrap for another week. We'll be back next week. So for Paul Hornstein out in Long Island, New York, Scott Strande here in Scottsdale, Arizona, bidding you a good farewell and a good evening. Look forward to Sun Devil hockey against Denver, number 4 against number 16.
Have a good night,
folks.